Ever noticed how a woman can meet one man and end up in his bed the same night, yet another guy can't get past a hug after months of trying? That gap isn't about luck, romance, or timing. It's instinct, pure, fast, and ancient. Long before words enter the picture, she has already figured out exactly where you fit in her world. In seconds, she senses whether you're someone she'll pursue, someone she'll manage, or someone she'll avoid entirely. And once you land in the wrong category, climbing out of it is nearly impossible. But imagine knowing how to shift that instinctive judgment, how to turn her response from neutral politeness into something raw and magnetic. Stick with me, because by the time we're done, you'll understand why certain men ignite immediate desire while others barely spark a reaction at all. Every man has felt that moment. The glance, the spark, the sudden pull when he thinks, this could actually become something. What he doesn't realize is that she already made her decision before he even opened his mouth. Not consciously, not maliciously, but through instinct. That's how women operate. When you walk into her orbit, her mind performs a rapid assessment. She picks up on the way you move, how you hold your gaze, the steadiness in your voice, the confidence or hesitation behind your presence. These cues speak louder than your most charming line. While you're debating whether to be bold or subtle, she's already sorted you. And it's not based on your resume, your paycheck, or the symmetry of your face. It's the energy you bring into the interaction. Psychologists call it thin slicing, the ability to form remarkably accurate impressions within seconds. Women, by nature and by evolution, are masters of this. It isn't manipulation, it's survival. For generations, they had to quickly sense who was strong, who was safe, and who was worth trusting. That instinct is still active today. It's simply adapted to modern life. In that instant read, she places you into one of three emotional slots. First is the man she respects. Your presence feels grounded, assured, and self-led. She relaxes around you, yet remains mentally alert, aware she's dealing with someone who moves with intention. Then, there's the man she pities. He tries too hard, laughs at nothing, fills silence with nervous chatter. She smiles to be polite, but internally, you're dismissed. You're not a threat, but you're not a potential lover either. You're background noise. And finally, the rarest category, the man who awakens desire. With him, her pulse shifts, her reason blurs, and her body responds before her mind catches up. That reaction isn't about compatibility or logic. It's pure chemistry. That momentary judgment shapes everything that comes after. You can text her for weeks, take her out, maintain perfect manners. None of that changes the fact that her instinct fired long before your first message. That's why two men can approach the same woman on the same night, and one ends up sharing her sheets while the other becomes her late-night therapist. The difference isn't strategy, it's the signal they send. Most men don't realize how little control they actually have in that initial window. They assume attraction grows over time, but for her, it forms in an instant. Once she labels you, breaking that label requires extreme tension, distance, or contrast. The uncomfortable reality is that by the time you speak your second sentence, she already knows whether intimacy is even an option. And if that feels harsh, it's only because no one taught you the unseen rules. A woman isn't moved by your compliments or carefully chosen words. She's moved by your presence. Every interaction between masculine and feminine energy is a quiet exchange. The moment you enter her space, she senses your confidence, your direction, your internal certainty. Attraction isn't a checklist. It's the spark created when masculine polarity meets feminine surrender. When your energy is overly soft, accommodating, or cautious, she may feel comfortable, but comfort and arousal are not the same. Safe is the guy she trusts with her passwords. Desired is the man who makes her lose her train of thought. That's the paradox. You can be everything a woman claims she wants and still be invisible to her body. Biology responds to grounded strength, decisiveness, and inner stillness, to masculine polarity. It's the reason the quiet, stable, nice guy never generates that heat. He's kind, dependable, and harmless. But harmless isn't magnetic. Then another man steps in, unapologetic, centered, unfazed. He doesn't need her attention. He simply carries himself like someone who knows he'll receive it. Suddenly, she's alert, drawn, unsure why she feels different. It's not that he's better, it's that his energy reaches her in a way she can't ignore. That's the truth most men never hear, and what we explore here on Hidden Waters. Because what happens next is where most men lose themselves without even realizing it. The kind of man who pulls her in does so without chasing, without forcing, without performing. He embodies a steadiness that doesn't waver under pressure. And that certainty, the quiet kind that doesn't need to announce itself, is what draws her in deeper than any compliment or clever line ever could. Masculine energy doesn't rush toward approval. It draws things toward it. It doesn't beg for a door to open. It stands tall enough that she wants to walk through it. When a man owns his presence, even silence becomes a statement. His composure speaks in ways language never will. The moment he steps into a room with intention rather than anticipation, her guard loosens. Her shoulders drop. She doesn't have to analyze or overthink. She can simply feel. That's the core of polarity. It invites her femininity to surface. And once she feels that contrast, that emotional permission to soften, it becomes intoxicating. But this is where so many men sabotage themselves. Instead of embodying desire, they attempt to earn it. They talk when they should pause. They explain when they should observe. They trade magnetic tension for friendly comfort. And then they're shocked when she feels warmth toward them, but not passion. You can't argue a woman into wanting you. You have to awaken something within her, something ancient, something wordless, through your stillness, your consistency, the confidence in your gaze that doesn't twitch under pressure. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. It's the quiet message that says, I'm solid. You can relax here. When she feels safe, she respects you. When she feels polarity, she hungers for you. And when you strike that balance, presence without pressure, strength without control, you stop running after women who barely notice you. You start attracting women who feel compelled to move toward you. But even when the chemistry is unmistakable, another layer begins. Because sometimes, despite the spark, she hesitates. She holds back. Not because she doesn't feel something, but because she wants to see what you do when things stop going your way. The moment her messages slow, when plans blur, when she becomes suddenly busy, most men crumble. They assume they failed somehow. They overcompensate, proving, explaining, chasing. They don't see that they've stepped right into the evaluation phase, because often when she delays intimacy, she's not avoiding you, she's assessing you. She wants to know if the confidence you projected is genuine or situational. She wants to see if your emotional leadership holds steady when the terrain changes. Psychologists call it a compliance test, a moment where withdrawal doesn't mean rejection, it means observation. She's watching your balance. Will you beg for reassurance? Will you shrink? Will you hand her the steering wheel of your self-worth? A woman instinctively gravitates toward a man who maintains his center. It's not about dominance, it's about stability. The ability to stay grounded when things don't unfold on your timeline. If your value shatters because she pulls back for a moment, she instantly knows she can control the dynamic. And the second she senses that, her desire dims. Here's the trap most men fall into. They confuse waiting with strength. But waiting out of fear isn't loyalty. It's surrender disguised as patience. It sends the silent message, "My standards disappear if you give me attention." She feels that shift immediately. The more you circle her, the less gravity you have. Attraction evaporates because your center dissolves. So what's the right response? You don't argue. You don't retreat in resentment. You remain rooted in your direction. You stay committed to your path, your goals, your evolution. You don't chase because the masculine was never built to chase. It was built to move forward. And psychological research backs it. People value what is selective, scarce, and stable. When your interest is intentional rather than desperate, when you're a man with options, purpose, and drive, she realizes you aren't something she can replace. A man who can walk away holds the frame. A man who waits to be chosen loses it. When she pulls back her affection, she's looking for emotional leadership. When you stay composed, she feels your steadiness in ways she may never articulate, but she knows it. She recognizes the man whose world doesn't collapse without her. And that's the world she wants to be part of. So when she goes quiet, don't rush to fill the silence. Fill your life. Continue building, expanding, becoming. Tests don't last forever. The moment you stop reaching for reassurance, you become the reassurance. And here's the cold truth. The more available you become, the less she senses your value. You think you're being consistent. She feels the spark dulling. What once felt intentional now feels predictable. And that's the paradox of desire. Availability without contrast becomes background noise. Psychologically, the brain stops responding to rewards that come too easily. There's no anticipation, no tension, no emotional charge. Attraction is born in contrast, the dance between presence and mystery, warmth and challenge, closeness and space. When you strip away that contrast, the entire current dies. What once felt charged becomes dull, predictable, flat. Think about the shift. There was a time she grabbed her phone hoping your name would appear. Now she scrolls with the quiet expectation that you'll message. She already knows when you'll call, how you'll respond, the rhythm of your conversations. There's nothing left for her imagination to hold on to. Without that tension, desire suffocates. A man who is always within reach stops feeling like a discovery and becomes part of the background. Familiar, yes. Comforting, maybe. But unforgettable? Never. You become a soft hum in the distance instead of the music she once couldn't ignore. The painful truth is that many men confuse devotion with dependence. Constant presence isn't proof of value, it's evidence of fear. You don't reveal your worth by flooding her attention. You reveal it by offering that attention with intention. The men who draw women in don't vanish to play mind games. They vanish because their lives demand movement. That's where their pull comes from. When a man is deep in his mission, even his silence has weight. His absence becomes a message all on its own. She begins to wonder where he is, what he's building, who he's evolving into. That curiosity reignites the very spark that once drew her in. And it's not manipulation. It's the rebalancing of polarity. You're not meant to orbit her moods. You're meant to exist as your own force, and she should feel your pull, not your desperation. Psychology calls this intermittent reinforcement. People chase what they can't perfectly predict. The same principle that makes casinos addictive also keeps attraction alive. When you respond instantly, rearrange your day for her, or make yourself available at every hour, you're handing over the unpredictability that made you compelling. The man who never asserts his own boundaries stops being a challenge and turns into a convenience, and convenience is disposable. Challenges linger in the mind. Choices fade in the background. So stop serving yourself as a constant service. become an experience instead, one she feels fully when you're around, but longs for when you're not. Let your rhythm breathe. Masculine energy isn't frantic. It pulses with intention. Desire doesn't thrive in total comfort. It thrives in the unknown. The moment you reclaim that mystery, everything shifts. She starts noticing. She starts feeling. That magnetic pull returns. Stop waiting for someone to permit you to be desired. You are the permission. Because when a woman truly wants you, she doesn't stall. She doesn't need endless clarity or extended time. She moves. Desire doesn't hold committee meetings. It acts. You've seen it before. The woman who reached out first, who rearranged her plans, who leaned in closer even when she shouldn't have. She wasn't calculating, she was drawn. When she feels that instinctive pull toward a man who embodies direction and depth, concern over losing him becomes stronger than her need to maintain control. That's when she moves quickly. But hesitation tells a different story. When she delays, postpones, or keeps you at arm's length while insisting she's not ready, it's rarely about values. It's about priorities. She's sorting options, weighing what she risks and what she doesn't. You become emotional insurance, the safe option she keeps nearby while she pursues what excites her more. It's brutal, but it's real. A woman who sees you as irreplaceable won't gamble with you. She cuts through obstacles. She makes room. She comes toward you instead of making you wait. That's why your mission is never to convince her. It's to become the kind of man who naturally shifts her hierarchy. A man who commands attention without demanding it. A man whose presence raises her standards. You achieve that not by chasing, but by growing. By crafting a life built on discipline, direction, and desire, not for her, but for yourself. The moment you stop waiting to be chosen, you step into irresistibility. Real confidence is quiet certainty. It's in the walk that doesn't need applause, the eye contact that doesn't search for approval, the words that are few but firm. That's the aura that draws women without effort, the gravity that makes them act. And when you live from that foundation, whole and intentional, you stop obsessing over who will pick you. You realize you were never meant to stand in anyone's line. You are the line. Women don't carve out space for the ordinary. They make room for presence, for certainty, for the men who embody what they yearn for but rarely find. So if she pulls back, hesitates, or keeps you waiting, don't crack the code. Step aside. Let her drift. The one who wants you won't gamble with losing you. She'll choose you without hesitation. Because when you master yourself, women don't keep you waiting. They clear the path. Now you understand what most men ignore. It was never about messages, timing, or effort. It was always about energy, the impression she feels the moment you enter her world. From the very first second, she's reading you, reacting to you, deciding what role you play in her life. Her instincts make that judgment long before her mind catches up. And once that first impression settles, polarity takes over. It either sparks something alive or shuts the entire current down. The moment you abandon your center in an attempt to win her, she feels the imbalance immediately. Every step you take toward chasing her only pushes her further away. But the second you stand firm in who you are, the dynamic shifts. You stop orbiting her reactions and start moving with intention again. You stop trying to perform desire and begin embodying it from within. Because real confidence isn't a display, it's a frequency. She feels it when you no longer crave validation for it. That's when the script flips. Suddenly, she's the one aware of the space you've created. She notices when you're not around. She realizes the quiet you carry isn't distance, it's peace. And that peace is what she risks losing. That's the essence of masculine presence. Not force, not pursuit, but a steadiness she can sense even in your silence. And this is the truth men avoid for too long. The moment you stop chasing, you become magnetic. You're no longer standing in anyone's line hoping to be seen. You set the standard. Your attention becomes something earned, not assumed, and you decide where it goes. If this resonates, then don't let it pass like another moment of insight you never act on. Redirect your focus. Let this be the turning point where you stop reacting and start leading your own life again. Because the more clearly you understand women, the harder it becomes for anyone to steer you through confusion. This isn't about control, it's about clarity. And once you have that, the games dissolve, the hesitation ends, and every woman who encounters you will feel it. The grounded certainty of a man who finally understands his worth.